Hi, this is Dorothea, and I'm coming to you today with the Wednesday Word Share, and I believe this is episode number 4. I'm going to be really honest and transparent with you and just tell you that, episode 4 almost didn't happen today, just because it's been just kind of interesting. I've just been in a really funky mood, a little bit grouchy, not really wanting to talk to anyone or share the word or anything like that. But I was convicted that I needed to go ahead and do this because I said I would. And the word says, let your yeses be yes and your noes be no. And I may have read that in James one day earlier this week. I'm not sure exactly where that reference is. But there is something in James that I want to share with you about because it is something that I've been going through. I've been going through this book. It's called Made for This, 40 Days to Living Your Purpose, for Jennie Allen. And it's really, really good. I am getting a lot out of it. And boy, she has really nailed me on some things. I'm only on like day, 12, 13, something like that. And so a lot of excuses that we all use for sitting on our gifts. And basically that's what the book is about. It's about saying, God, I'm willing to do anything. And then are you really? And what are the things that hold you back from doing anything for the Lord? There's sometimes a lot of fear, but there's a lot of doubt and just different things that go on internally. And so she really brings that out. And so from that, I'm just really saying I've been convicted to step out a little more in my gifts, to believe God, to leave behind the doubt, and realize that if I'm going forward believing God for something that He's given me and that He wants me to use the gifts that He's given me, that He is a big enough God to stop me if I'm going in the wrong direction or to redirect me into another path. But just sitting and waiting and thinking, which is what I tend to do a lot of, then that's an excuse. It's a lame reason to not be doing what God has called you to do. So here I am. I'm going to stay true to my word on this. And but let's read in James chapter 1, and I'm going to start in verse 5, and we're going to read through verse 8, and it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Well, a lot of times we do ask things of God, and we do ask to use our gifts, to let Him work through us, to bless other people, to help other people, to encourage them. Whatever it is that's in your heart to do, it has to do with other people, and it has to do with God working through you, and in that, God getting the glory for it. Satan does not want that to happen, and so he's continually working to keep us from doing that. And I don't know about you, but for me, doubt is one of those things that is a kryptonite for me. And so it says to let him ask in faith with no doubting. So I'm sorry, I'm getting notifications on my phone, but I don't think you can see that, but I can see it, and it gets on my nerves. So anyway, but I can be one day like, oh, I know I'm going to go this direction, I'm going to do this, but then the next day, maybe I feel a little emotionally down. maybe I feel a little sluggish, a little tired. I get overwhelmed with work or whatever. Sometimes we just, you know what, sometimes the things that God asks us to do and to do well, and we spend the most of our life doing, this is something that Jenny Allen brings out in the book, is that a lot of our life is lived in the mundane, and it's in the everyday. And that's where we can easily get stuck. It's almost like a quicksand for us. It's hard to move through that and hard to see that this is really what God has called us to do, to love the people around us well, to love our family well, our husbands, our wives, if you're a man watching this, our children, grandchildren, to go into the workplace, to love co-workers well, to show them the light of Jesus Christ, to make that daily commute, to wash the clothes so that the family can have the clean clothes to do the things that they need to be doing. There's so much of life that doesn't seem glamorous, doesn't seem like there's really anything to that, but there really is. One of the things that my kids tell me, my oldest daughter has told me this several times, is that when growing up, we always just had dinner together as a family. It was somewhat intentional, but it wasn't hugely, it wasn't like we had it as a family rule, we're going to do this. But we just did, and it was very consistent in our lives. And her friends would come over sometimes, and they would be really shocked that, what? You know, your family eats together all the time, and it always made an impression on them. And now she carries that out in her family, and it's a time of being together, a time of finding out what's going on in the day. It's just a time, I mean, nothing magical happens necessarily at those dinner tables, but the magical thing that happens is you are together as a family, and that child feels loved, and there's a consistency to that is comforting and brings security to them. So let me just encourage you today, if you feel a little down, if you feel a little unsure or whatever, ask God for the wisdom that you need, but ask Him with faith, ask Him with confidence, because we don't want to be like those double-minded people that end up really not doing anything. You don't make any traction. You don't make any headway. And sometimes the work that's involved in moving forward with your gift and calling is just that. It's work, and it's mundane, and it's not really seemingly all that glamorous, and you may not feel like doing it, and you may not see a result right away, but that's when you have to get in there and you have to trust God, and you have to decide that you're going to do it anyway, just like I decided today I was going to do this anyway. So there you have it. I love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for letting me share with you. And I will see you next week.